And we are live. Okay, hi. Good morning. How are you? What is your name? And who is calling the hotline?
My name is Kari Oatman.
Hi. How are you, Kari?
I am not great today. In general, I got my signatures turned in for the current mayoral election, but I only turned in 61 signatures out of 55 needed, due to the fact that 57 signatures of mine were stolen, as well as my car, as well as my phone, my wallet, my kids' car seats, and some of their belongings, at gunpoint on Oak Hill this past Sunday.
What happened on that? What happened on that event? What happened?
I was canvassing all day Sunday. I was over off Hayden most of the day, over by Savannah, Manhattan, those streets, and dropped off one of my guys that was walking with me, and came back towards Savannah to drop off some material for a lady who wanted some more flyers. Then I cut back up into Forest Hills and used Oak Hill. I saw a gentleman that I've spoken to before in the past and stopped and gave him some campaign material. And I was talking to him very briefly and was going to get in my car and leave. And two young men rolled up, pushed their way into the car. The gentleman I was talking to actually jumped through the passenger window to try to stop them because the passenger window was open. And then one of the young men pulled out a gun. And they drove off in the car. Myself and the gentleman I was talking to, his wife called the police. All three of us talked to the police. And I came back to my house. And when I came back to my house, the police officer got there and we talked. I found out after doing a walkthrough of my house that it looks like someone had broken in to my house. And the funny thing was, they only looked in the office room. All the papers were everywhere in the office room. And so I freaked out. It turns out the only thing they took was my birth certificate and my kids' social security cards that was all in one envelope together that was marked. And the next day I went to get a new birth certificate downtown. And then the alarm went off. My father, who, was watching my grandma, who lives on Brewster, which is one street over from me, came out of the house. The police were called, and it turns out someone was tampering and got in through the back door. So today, this morning, woke up to a note in my mailbox saying, your vehicle has been found, and I took a picture of the note as well. Your vehicle has been found. Euclid Police Officer Chambers, call this number. When I called Euclid Police, I spoke to two of the different departments, including the records department, and no vehicle has been found or located in Euclid. So at this point, with all the signatures being due, the fact that I possibly still could get on the ballot with 61, if everyone had signed as a registered voter, and the current climate in East Cleveland, I'm thinking that a lot of foul play was involved due to this election.
Why do you feel foul play was involved?
I wouldn't feel it was involved if not for the correlation. If it was just the car, I would say, maybe it was some kids. It was just bad timing with my, being up on Oak Hill. But, the car, run, clear, and evident break-in, which I have pictures of what they did to the office. And that's the only room in my house they looked at. Or they tossed stuff in, and then someone else trying to break in the next day, to me, makes no sense, and the manner in which my dog is a big dog, he barks, I read it when strangers come in. When I, got back to the house, he was cowered under the table like someone did something to him. As was my smaller dog. And basically all this back and forth, I have found through other sources that people have had signatures grabbed from them. People that are out canvassing for other candidates have had signatures grabbed from them. And people tied to saying anything against the current East Cleveland regime have had incidents of break-ins left and right, and the procedure, or the time frame to get to answers with the break-ins has been spotty at best, and it's just too coincidental. If it were any other week or time, with regards to the upcoming East Cleveland mayoral race, which is one of the most monumental in East Cleveland history, since the appointment of the first mayor in the 80s, I would say, okay, bad luck. But it was the week the signatures were due. I was down in the bad parts, quote unquote, of East Cleveland all day with nary a problem. I come up the hill, and on top of that, the residents where this happened, people were out. There were people in both houses across the street from him. Another lady was gardening. It was broad daylight at 6 p.m. on a Sunday. That typically does not happen, and I know stuff happens everywhere nowadays, but very typically, that does not happen. Even the police officer that came to my house to check because they had all my, address and stuff, said on Ocho, this is a general consensus I've gotten from my neighbors as well once I told them what happened. So that is why I think it is directly tied to this election.
Well, speaking of, you went to a meeting this week.
That is true.
We got about a minute left, so can you give us a wrap up on that meeting?
Sure. Well, I attended the ARCO meeting led by Brandon King, and Representative Kent Smith was there, Kenny Yuko was there, as well as some representatives from the EPA. The meeting was very, very whitewashed. Not one of the residents was invited to speak. Mr. Drummond was the first question that was taken. All of this can be, seen or heard on Channel 9. And King, as well as, the people working for him, tried to prevent Mr. Drummond from speaking until myself and other members of the audience yelled, "Let him speak." And the fact of the matter was his story was so heartfelt that he should have been one of the speakers. I myself asked a series of questions, including why was none of the health been discussed? Why is George Michael Riley one of the subcontractors for the bid to clean up ARCO? Why have we not looked into the human trafficking issue and swept ARCO for some of the missing women and teen girls that have been missing by the handfuls? And Brandon King and his people said that I did not ask any questions. I tried to voice that I did, and Mr. Smedley decided that it was important to grab my arm and pull me backwards to try to prevent me from speaking, which I told him under no circumstances was appropriate. And many people in the audience also were discussing